Hey there. So in this course, I will teach you introduction and basics of Python. So next, let's see what other things include in this course. So in section 1, learn Python programming language from scratch, lectures, installing Python and PyCharm, tuples, lists, files, dictionaries, booleans and sets, if and else, while loops and for loops, function and function argument. Let's make a web app for clearing our concept part 1, and let's make a web app for clearing our concept part 2. Basic to advanced Python features are included. And section 2, ethical hacking using Python, and lectures about writing a network scanner, writing a vulnerability scanner, writing a Wi-Fi network jammer, writing a MAC changer, custom anonymity, writing an ARP spoofer and DNS spoofer, bypassing HTTPs, replacing downloads and injecting codes included, writing a file, intercept and packet sniper, writing a different malware, backdoors, keylogger, packing, writing a crawler, writing a Python fuzzer, website hacking using Python full complete. And inside section 3, Python and Kali Linux lectures, installing WinID on Kali and WinID overview, writing a TCP client in Python, writing a UDP client in Python, writing a TCP server in Python, developing an application like Netcat. And section 4, last part, is real-world example of hacking with Python and Kali Linux demonstration. So I hope you guys liked it. So thanks for watching.
So in this video we're going to go ahead and download and install Python for Windows platform. Now if you are running a Mac or running a Linux computer, do refer to the separate video I will upload in the next section. So it's because the process of downloading and installing Python is slightly different to other platforms like Linux or Mac. So first thing to do is go to this website python.org. So once you get there, you can move your mouse down to this here download section. So then you will see that you have a little pop-up window, and select only this version 3.10.2. So I'm going to click that and download. As you can see, I already downloaded that. So what you have to do, click that, download, and okay, let me just show you. Now the downloading and all, it shouldn't take long. So I just want to mention that you probably don't want to download the Python 2 in this lecture or in this site, because you can also choose any of the version from here, but it's better to choose this one because I will work on this one. Now if you click that, and as you can see I have already installed it, so let me just install again. Or so what you really need to do is just click on the let me just show you. Okay, Let me uninstall first so that I can tell you how to install this correctly. So now let me install this. So as you can see, you need to check this at Python 3.102 the path and simply just install now, and you need to allow this app, press yes. So it's a very important that you do that and add to the path. So as you can see, previously I checked the path, so you can just close. So all you need to do is check if your Python is working or not. So what you do is click to the run, type command, and type Python. As you can see, my system already detected the Python that I installed, Python 3.10.2, and if it's not recognized as an internal or external command, two things probably happen. Firstly, you may not have clicked on that path that I showed at the first of the installation, and secondly, you may need to reboot your computer for the changes to take the effect. So first thing first, reboot and see if this works. Another way to check is just check the apps folder where you install the Python. Like as you can see, I have installed the Python, so click this. As you can see, you can work install and working correctly on this PC. So most cases it works, but if you have problem, then just reboot the computer. I think it will be fine. So this is the we are done with the installation of Python, so we'll move to the next one. So in this video we are going to be looking at ideally just a quick overview as a part of what the Python can do and what it is used for, and ideally also known as the Python shell. So what's called this as an interactive development environment. So this means whatever you write a Python code, it will instantly be evaluated and give you the answer. So for an example, if we write 5 plus 5, then it will give us the 10 because it will evaluate for you. So number 5 is just a number, it's a decimal point after it. So this known as the integer. So if we write like this, so it's just a 5, this is known as an integer and a whole number. So this as an integer as a type, that means the Python, the number 5 and the number 5.0 So for example, this is also a complete different type, but this won't work like this, because you have to work right like this. If you want to work it like 5 plus 5 hours. Yeah, so if we say 5 plus 5, it will simply give us 5 plus 5, because it assumes that we simply want to collection of number that symbols that we have given it in. So if we write like this, 5 plus 5, it won't work. So because some of its quotation is missing on the other part, that's why it couldn't recognize outside the quotation. And the 5 being a number of an integer, this gives us an error because it doesn't know what to do with this string and the number added together. So if we write So if we do 5 plus 5, notice that species doesn't matter in Python, so that it gives you 55 because it simply joins them together. So these are the couple of things that you can do. So in ideally, this is also a very quick introduction to what the integer and the strings are. So let's talk about the variables. So you can clear this by typing this. So we'll be talking about the variable and patterns. So when you write any program, you think about how to save the data temporarily in the memory. To save the data and the memory, you have to define the variable. So what I mean the variable is that you say any number like x is equal to 55. So if you want to print this, you want to write print, then name the variable, and this will print the 55. So how variable work really? So you have to define the variable name. For an example, date of birth is 27. So you will define variable in the memory here. So variable name is date of birth, so it reads everything. Now because we run the app, define the variable here name dob, it will give the value name dob. Like if we print this, print the dob, then it will give the 27. So now whatever I want to access the 27 again in pages of program, I just say there, just print it and it will give the result. So printing the variable names so that they have the data birth directory or dob directory. So it says 27, so you could have saved different that have in variable. For example, you could also write like pi 3.5 as an example, and say write your name as my name is Akash. So and also write the age. So define all these, and this one will be located in the memory and they will be located this way. So if you want to print, just you can also print like any of the 3 variables, like print pi, then because it couldn't recognize, so I have to clear and you can also write as the same. Also print, you can also now print any of this, like if I want to print like age, then you can just write it down and it will print. Okay, so first step is to define the variable. So first step is the variable, then define the second is variable, then define the variable after the print, then you can print this age, name or pi as I showed. So this is how the program runs step by step. So if I write like and also print pi, it will print. Okay, so as an example, if I doing a program to find the people age, then you write like date of birth is like as an example 1989, then age, you define all the variable like define the age from the previous variable from this, like this. Also if you want a message like the showing to show what you raise in the output in a text, then you have to write like this as a message. Then you write the print that you want to know, like if I want to know my age, so you wrote the message. So as you can see, it really printed the your age is 33. From the year of date of birth, they calculated the age from this year to the date of birth year. Also they defined this by printing a message in this line. So defining your string, then format, and then define date of birth. So this is basically how string formatting works and how it could format your string in Python in a basic way. Hello everyone and welcome to this lecture on tuples. And in Python, tuples are very similar to list. However, they have a key differences, and that is they have immutability, and they are immutable, meaning they cannot be changed, and they and that comes from the term mutation, and they cannot be mutated or changed. Now basically means once an element is assigned to a index position inside a tuple, you cannot grab that element and then reassign it to something else. Like you could have a list, and the way to construct tuple is very similar to list, except instead of using square brackets, now is parentheses. Let's explore tuples a little bit more on Jupyter. So let's get started. You will have a quite an intuition as far as how the two tuples use based on you have learned about the list. So we're going to create a two block called T. So we'll say T is equal to the, and then is parenthesis. So we'll write 1 comma 3 2 comma 3, and then we'll create the list. Which is going to be very similar. Then it's a list that you can always confirm this using a built-in type function. So if I say type it like type T, as you can see it's a tuple. Then so using the built-in type function, so if I say, as you can see I wrote the T, it returns back to its tuple function. So if I ask the my list, so it returns back that it's a list. So we can check the length of a tuple just like you could have a list. Then let's so C is 3 because 3 element in that list. So 1 2 3 in just like the 3 list. It is also a fine to mix object types, so we can have a string inside of a tuple along with the number, that has no problem there. And also just like a list, you can use slicing and indexing. So let's say I want to grab that string, so I could just say give me what's an index 0, and there I can. comma 2, then also do a negative 1. So I have 2 as a return, and then so take a look at the T. It's right here. So it's right here. So let's get to really what makes a tuple different, and that's the immutability. And I really cannot stress enough that this is what makes a tuple different than list. So let's check out a tuple right now and also check out that list created. So let's assign the first element of my list to be the string. So right now my list has no problem with that. So I will assign the first element to be the new. T is equal to a comma b. Then use the t dot count. So tuple, I created the tuple list and also check out the list. So let's assign the first element to my list, and basically, and that came out t dot count a came out as a 2 output. So let's type t dot index, which will be 0. So right away you will notice that there is a list method available to tuple. Then let's complete that. T dot index b it came out 2. Then T is A and B. Okay. Then my list, which is 1 2 3, 1 comma 2 comma 3, and then my list 0 is equal to new then my list again, which will add new 2 and 3. So if I try to do the same thing with the tuple as I did there, so it is going to say the type error. So let me do that. Okay. So tuple object does not support item assignment, so that's basically what it makes a tuple different than a list. Now I'm sure you're wondering, well, why would I even bother using tuples when they have fewer available methods and they don't have the flexibility of a list. So, and to be honest, so you are beginning to program, you not going to be using tuples that often. It's only as you become more comfortable with Python and become a more advanced programmer, then you will begin to see what benefits of tuple and what you are going to be using tuples for mainly when you're passing around the object in your program. And you need to make sure that they don't accidentally get changed, and when the tuple really becomes a great solution, so tuple becomes a great solution, so it provides a very convenient source of what's known as data integrity. The fact that we cannot do reassignment like this by accident, we will get an error instead, is going to be really useful when you want to make sure that elements don't get flipped or reassigned later on a large piece of code. So kind of keep this in your toolkit, and later on I'm sure we will be pulling out this tuples again, so we can use it and really let it shine. For now, just remember that it has immutability and it looks really similar to a list, except we use parentheses instead of square brackets. Okay, so that's it for the tuples. So we're going to show you how to use the next. So now we'll be talking about the list data structure and Python. So we are going to learn about how that list can be thought as probably one of the most general version of sequences in Python. So let's go ahead and get started. Here I have opened a Jupyter notebook, and we are going to learn about creating the indexing and slicing list and some of the basic list of method that the next list is, and we will get a quick introduction to these comprehensions. So this is just a quick overview of everything in this Jupyter notebook. So let's go ahead and write our code. So let's go ahead and assign a list to a variable. like my underscore list 1 comma 2 comma 3. So I'm going to create a variable name called my underscore list, and I'm going to create a list. So lists are constructed with a square brackets and they have a comma separating each element in that list. So for instance, if I wanted to make a list of a number 1 comma like my underscore list is equal to string comma 23 comma 1 comma 2 So if I wanted to make a list of the number 1 comma 2 comma 3, so right now in this format my list is everything in between these two brackets, and it allows me to keep track of the sequences of element 1, 2 and 3, and they are all separated by comma shift. And then we created a list of integers. So if I say my underscore list, and I can remember that I have my list output as 1 2 3. So I can create my list and I will set to equal to a new list, and this list going to contain a string and integer 23 and even like a floating point number, so 1 comma 2, and put another string in there for good measures. So there we go. So if I call my list again, len my list, then the okay. So for list I can say len on of my list, so there I get the list length is 4, and that's because there are 4 elements and there's a string 23 and 1.2 and that O string. So let's go ahead and jump into indexing and slicing into. So indexing and slicing is gonna work like let me write the code. 1 2 3 4 and 5. Then I'll create another list, will be called my list. Then it will take my list 0. So once you put a string and then 4 1 2 3 and 4 5, remember each of the element is separated by a comma. So since this is a sequence, I can index and grab stuff in the sequences. So if I say my list, that variable name with brackets and then 0, then I will get like this. Wait, my list 0, and now my list, my underscore list 1. One, two, three. Okay. Then my underscore list so if I say my list, variable name and bracket and then 0, that's going to grab the element at index 0, and in that case it's just the first one. So just like the string and notation and the same soup, let's say I want to put my list and I want to grab index 1. So in this line I grab the index 1 and passed it, and the same color notation. So my list grab everything from this element and return the output 2 3 and 4 5. So let's say I wanted to grab everything up to index 3 in this line. So you can say my list and we will say everything up to the element 3. So colon 3 and the return 1 2 3. So we can use the plus symbol to consent. So let me write that. Hello world. List just like we did for strings. So if you remember from the string lecture, I would say the plus space. So let's say word and word concrete it to a single string like hello world that I typed it right now. So I can actually do the same with list. So I can say my list and that's just that one. So then if I type that my list, then it will give the output like 1 2 3 and 4 5 there. So there it can be another list. So I will create a new list and to that list like my underscore list is equal to my underscore list or like, okay, not this one. If I add like my list plus new item, then it will first it will give the output like 1 2 3 4 5 and new item. Then again if I write my list is equal to my list plus permanent add, then it will go to the next line, and if I put this in my list, then it will show the output as 1 2 3 4 5 and permanent add. So it added all the strings. So it added the list consisting of a single item which is just a string. So there's just noted by those square brackets, and there we go. And if you notice, when you continue, it basically kind of just depended on the last item on that list. So if I write my underscore list into 2, then it gave the output like 1 2 3 4 5 permanent list, 1 2 3 4 5 and permanent add. So if I just if I put a string like L is equal to 1 2 3 1 comma 2 comma 3, then it will give the, then L, it will show the output as 1 2 3. Then if I use the append one like L dot append and append dot me, and if I use the L, then it will all show the 1 2 3 and append me. So now if I use pop function like L dot pop, then it will just show the append me as the output. Then if I use x is equal to L dot pop, then give the x, then it will show output as a 1. Then if I also get 2 and 3, but if I try to use the list as 99 or first L1, as you can see it gives a type error because the list object is not callable or also not. So if I use list as 99, it will also show the same error message. But if I create a new list like new underscore list, A B A, so if I create this new list and if I want to show the output, so it will, as you see, it will get the output as AEXBC. So now use the string like new list reverse string. Now it also reverse that, and if we short that string by typing new list dot short, then new list, as you can see it shorted out the new list as it was previously random, and now you can see ABCEX, and previously it was AEXBC, so it just sorted out, and from the random item it reverses and sort. So if I now use list 1 at 1 to 3, 1 comma 2 comma 3, now list 2 at 4 5 6, and list 3 as 7 8 9, and make it as a matrix, like matrix, call it as L1 comma L underscore 2 comma L underscore 3. Then if I write the matrix, and if I, as you can see, matrix out the list that I created previously. So it, now if I want to matrix that like matrix 2 0, so the output came out as 7. Now if I write a new string as first column row 0 for row in matrix, then we make that as a first column, then it came out as 147, as you can see 147 as the first column. So that's how this is came out as a jewel list. So that's the most basic about the Jupyter list. So now in Python we will talk about the dictionaries. So in Python, dictionaries are indicated by 2 curly brackets. So in order to create a dictionary in Python, all we need to do is to create those 2 brackets and enclose some value in there, and created the Python, and our dictionary is created. So tricky part is inside those two curly braces we need to specify our key value pairs which are separated by a colon. So let me try that. My dictionary is equal to colon 1:100 comma 3:100 comma 4:400. So as in this code you see that we have created a dictionary and we have sorted it in a variable name my dictionary. So here we can see that there are two curly brackets having key value pairs separated by the comma. So Python got us cover. In Python there is a special function called type. So let me use that. Type my dictionaries, then output will be dictionary. So from this result of the type function it is now confirmed that the variables that we are dealing with is indeed a dictionary one. So Python has an internal coding system where each data type is represented with a shortcut. So here for directory it is dict, accessing elements from a directory. So if you want to access the elements you have to type like my dictionaries two. So as we see here in this code we have access the value 200 from our dictionary based on the key2 students value 2 is mapping to. So now adding a new element to the dictionary. So we will type my dictionary so adding a new element. So if I type my dictionary 5 is equal to 500. So as from this code the syntax for adding a new element to a dictionary is pretty simple. Let's see a brief explanation for the same here. Since we are going to add a new key or dictionary which is 5 in this case, so since we have now added a new key value pair in our dictionary, so let's check that out. So if we type my dictionary, so it will, so from the above output it is evident that our new key value is added to the dictionary. So updating value associated with a dictionary. So we have a dictionary now having a 5 key value pairs respectively. Let's say we decided to update the value of a particular key in the dictionary. So let's update the value 500 with associate to 1000. Now my dictionary 5 with 1000, and if I check that, as you can see, the value associated with the key 5 has been successfully updated to 1000. So accessing all the keys from the directory. So if I So as you can see here, the keys method of directory object has returned each and every keys present in our dictionary. So as on important thing need to be remembered, in keys is basically a method. It will always be associated with the dictionary object. So if we don't have a dictionary object, we cannot use this method as method dependent on their corresponding object. So accessing all the values in a dictionary. So if we want to access the values, then we want to type my dictionary dot values. As you can see, all the values are shown here: 100, 300, 400, and the last updated one 1000. All return to the value which are present in our dictionary object. And accessing all the items in a dictionary. So if I want to access all the item, I want to type my dictionary dot items, okay, I type it wrong, okay. So as we can see here, the items method has returned both the keys and the values which are present in our dictionary object. So if we want to getting the list of all method for the dictionary object, we need to use directory method like dir my dict dictionary. Okay. As you can see here, the directory function has listed all the method which can be used with our dictionary data type. So well, that's it. That is everything you need to know about the dictionary data types in Python. So hello everyone and welcome to the sets and boolean structure. So in this lecture we are going to learn about the two more other object types, and one is the data structure set and the one is the data structure sets and boolean object type, which is basically just a true and false display in Python. So this is the Jupyter notebook. So let's just go ahead and start coding and go through it. So sets can be thought of as an unordered collection of a unique element, and that's the important part. So the fact that those elements inside of that sets are unique too. So the inside of the sets are unique, so that you can construct the set using this sets function notation. So it's going to look something like this. So I'm going to make a set and I'm going to call, and I'm going to label it with the variable x. So here x is a get set right now and it's an empty set. So how do I add element to this set? So let's add element. So I use the add method, which is going to be a x or whatever variable is set of called your set dot add for add, and you can add whatever object you want to in it. So I'm going to say x dot add 1, and if I check now what my x is, it's going to look and add that one into that set. So now x so something interesting here, notice that the notation is curly brackets. So this actually does not indicate that it's a dictionary, although you can draw analogies as a set, almost like being a directory, but with only the keys, because remember, in a directory you cannot have multiple keys being the exact same thing. So you don't have unique keys, and you can kind of think those as a set as just a dictionary, but keys are unique. So let's go ahead and add a different element to the set. As you can say, I added which is called x, and add number 2 in it. So as you can see, I have 1 and 2 in my set. So what happens if I try to add the same element that's already in here? Okay. Like it would if it was like a list or something, and that's because the set's only concerned with a unique element. So you can actually use that set function to cache something like a list with a multiple repeat element to get the unique element, and I'll show you an example what I mean by that. So I'm going to say L is equal to a list, and this is the list. I'm going to have a couple of 1 and couple of 2s and couple of 3s and like a 4. So notice how I have repeated out the items or elements that list that occur more than once. So if I take that list and cast it, remember we kind of casting as a term back for using float, and casting number explodes. Okay, I did mistake. Let me repeat it. Okay. So if I take that list and cast it, remember we use casting as a term break using float and casting number explodes. So if I use the sets of L, notice that the sets going to grab all those unique values. So 1, 2, 3 and 4 are the unique values in this list, and that's basically just the sets. So remember, sets are the only concerned with the unique element, and you can create them by calling this empty set function when you can add to them with the dot add method. So so sets are going to be a super useful tool when we come back to the later of this lecture, and it is a really unique tool because of this feature that they are the only concern if with the unique elements. So let's go ahead and move along with the booleans. So Python comes of booleans which are basically predefined true and false displays, almost like integer 1 and 0. So it also has a placeholder object called none. Okay. So let's go ahead and walk through a couple of examples of this. So I'm gonna say a is equal to true run that cell, and now if I show it and it shows out true, so we can also use comparison operator and operators to create the booleans. So let me try this. So we haven't got a specific comparison operator, so we'll go over them. This intersection of this lecture is about them, so I'm gonna show you a quick example. So I can ask, is 1 greater than 2, and the output will be a boolean which is false, since 1 is not greater than 2, and we will go over all these different symbols and what they mean later on this. So let's go ahead and switch. Then let's say 11 is greater than 2. So this is true. So we can also use none as a placeholder for an object that we don't want to reassign yet. And what I mean is by None is actual a word, none of capital M there, and now B is going to be a placeholder, and so B is going to be a placeholder, and you notice nothing popped out. So when I said that cell to run, since it's literally none, and that I can reassign it to maybe a string, and now this equal to a, where string of a okay. So that is just a super basic understanding of sets and booleans. So we will touch upon them later throughout this topic. So just a quick review. So if we hop up back to the over here on Jupyter Notebook, sets are an unordered collection of unique elements. So you construct them using set function, and you can add to them with the add method. And remember, they have currently brackets, and that doesn't mean they are a dictionary. And you can draw analogies as a set being a dictionary with only keys. Remember, you can also use set to cast another data structure, so it's just a list to only get to the unique value out of it. Then we went over boolean, which are basically just a true and false, and we went over none use as a placeholder. So we'll learn way more and see booleans a lot more when it comes to the comparison bit operation later on this topic, and we'll also go over them throughout this. So they are going to be super useful to have a logic within our code. So that's about it. I'll talk to you about the next lecture about this. So hello everyone, in this lecture I will talk about the if else statements in Python. So the if else structure is a common way to control the flow of a program, allowing it to execute a specific block of code depending on the value of the some data. So first, if statement. If the condition following the keyword if evaluates as true, then the block of the code will execute. Note that parentheses are not used before and after the condition, therefore as in other languages. So let me try out the if statement. So if true, then print if block will execute. So if you run this, so as you can see, if block will execute. And another example is if I use x and is 5, then if x greater than 4, then print the condition was true. So if we run this, as you can see, this statement executes. So the if statement works like this. So it's a very simple way to test. So You can optionally add an else responses that will execute if the responses is false, like if not true, print if statement will execute or else statement will execute. Okay, if statement execute if not true, okay, where is the problem? Okay, let me check. Print if statement will okay, let me try another one. Y is equal to 3 if y greater than 4, then print I won't print or else the condition wasn't true. Okay, I got the error, so this will be like this. Okay, so as you can see, the else statement will execute, so the if statement got ignored and else statement executed, so there is no condition following the else keyword, so it caches all the situation where the condition was false. So elif statement, multiple conditions can be checked by including one or more elif checks after your initial if statement. So just keep in mind that only one condition will execute at the end. So let me give you an example. If z greater than 8, then print I won't print, like a random comment. elif z greater than 5, then print I will elif z greater than 6, then print I also on print else print I will neither I will I print. Okay, as you can see, the first condition that evaluates as true will execute even though the z greater than 6 is true. The if else or elif blocks terminate after the first true condition. That means that an else will only execute if none of the conditions are true. So we can also use if else statement on inline Python functions. So this following example should check if the number is greater or equal than 50. So if it is greater than 50, then it will return true. So let me write down the code. Python x is equal to 89 is greater to if greater than equal 50, else false. Print okay, there is some error in this, I think, in the code. Okay, let me try another one. So if we try the nested if statement, so we can also create the nested ifs if for decision making. So this is all about the if, elif and else statement. The for loop is in Python is used to iterate over a sequence, which could be a list, tuple, array or string. So let me give you an example of an for loop. Colors red, green, yellow, so I am just littering through a list: yellow, black, then for X in colors, print X, then iterate through the string. So S is equal to red, then for loop X in S, print X. Okay, as you can see, the output was red, green, yellow, black, and red. So the programs operate as follows. We have assigned a variable X, which is going to be a placeholder for every item in our literable object. So in this case, the variable X actually represents the element in that list. Then we print our variable X, and this process continues until all items are printed. So the break statement in for loop, the Python break statement is used to exit from the loop immediately after a certain condition is met. So as an example, let me copy this. For X in colors, printf if X is equal green, then break. Okay, so this program operates as follows. The loop continues until the specific element is encountered. So as soon as the green element is encountered, so the loop breaks and the output is given as red and green. So and another one is for continue statement in for loop. The function of the continue statement is to skip the current iteration of a loop and continue with the next one. So let me show you an example of this. You just write the continue statement. So what this does is, this does the print as red, green, yellow, black. So this function continues the statement to skip the current iteration of a loop and continue with the next one. Okay, the range function, let me try the range function. The range function executes a group of statement for a specified number of times. So for X in range 5, print X print list range statement, range function. Then we type 2, 8, 1, 2, 3. Okay. So these programs operate as follows. When the For structure begin executing the function range, create a sequence of values which range from 0 to 4. The first value in the sequences is assigned to the variable x and the body of the for structure executed. Then for each subsequent value in the sequences, the value is assigned to variable x and the body of the for structure executed. This process continues until all value in the sequence have been processed. Another one is else in for loop. Python enables an else clause to the end of a for loop. So the else part is executed if the loop terminates naturally. So let me give you an example of this. Okay, let me copy this. X in color print. Then else, as we previously talked about the else function, you just print out the print done. Okay. So the for loop is executed first, and after that the else part is executed. As you can see, the red, green and black, and then done. Okay, another one is a nested loop. So a loop inside another loop is called a nested loop. The inner loop will be performed once for each iteration of the outer loop. So color, let me type the rest of the code. Fruits, like as an example, let me give you mango, banana, apple. For x in colors, for y in fruits, then we can just print this, print x comma y. Okay. So as you can see, excessive nesting level can make it difficult to follow the program. So as a general rule, try to avoid using more than 3 levels of indentation. So access index in for loop. So to iterate over the indices in a sequence, we use the enumerate function. Okay, enumerate function. Let me copy this. For index, comma, value in enumerate colors, print index comma value. Okay, so the enumerate function adds the counter to the iterables which start from 0 by default, and it, as you can see, it outputted the 0 to 4 3 0 1 2 3 and red, green, yellow, black by default. So let's try the looping through multiple list. So we can loop through multiple list all at once. So for this we can use the zip function, which is built in the Python loop. Okay, so from, let me type the code, from array import array1 is equal to array I comma 1 comma 2 comma 3 comma 4 comma 5 for x in array1 print x. Okay, so as you can see, it loops through the multiple list and get the output like 1 2 3 4 and 5. So in conclusion, we have discussed for Python for loops and its syntax, different statements. So we also provided a visual example and demonstrate how to use the breaks and continue statement in a Python for loop. So let's now talk about the while loop. Okay, for while loop. A while loop is used to repeat section of code that unknown number of time until a specific condition is met. Okay, let me give you an example. In 2 x is equal to 1 while x less than 5 print x is equal to x plus 1 print x okay while into x is equal to 1 while x less than 5. Okay. Okay, I did some mistake and I corrected it. So as you can see, it's now working fine and I get the output of 1 2 3 and 4. So from the above program, we assigned a value to the variable x as 1 while the value of the x is less than 5. It is going to print the value of x after each iteration and the value of x will be increased by 1. The break statement in while loop. The Python break statement is used to exit from the loop immediately after a particular condition is met. So let me give you an example. Okay, let me copy this. Print x, copy this. Print x, then just if we write the if statement, if x is equal to green, then break. Okay, then you can see it gave the output of red and green. So in the above statement, the while loop executed until x became 3. So as soon as the value of x became equal to 3, the loop breaks. Continue statement in while loop. The function of the continue statement is to skip the current iteration of a loop and continue with the next one. Like, okay, if I just copy this similar, while x greater than, as example 9, print x is equal to x plus 1 if x is equal 3, then it continue. So okay, so the following loop goes until the x is equal to 3, and when x becomes 3, the current iteration stops and a new iteration starts. So while loop with else. Python allows an else clause at the end of a while loop. The else part is executed if the loop terminates naturally. So let me give you another example. Print x is equal to x plus 1 else print done. So we assign the value to the variable x is equal to 1 till x is less than 5. The loop will continue and print the value, and as soon as the value of x reaches 4, the else condition will be executed. Another final one is Python while loop exercises. So I suggest to attempt the following in your. So if I say that add all the number less than 10 while using while loop, so what will be the code? So let me give you the code. So less than 10 using while loop. So okay, total is equal to 0, number is equal to 7, while number is greater than is equal to 10, then the total will be total is equal to total plus number, then number will be number plus 1 then we will write the print value of total from while loop is total. So as you can see, value of total from while loop is 34. So this is all of the basic topic of for and while loop in Python. I hope it gives a clear message to how this works. So we'll talk about the other things in the next lecture. So in this lecture we will be talking about the function of a Python. So what are the functions? So a function is a set of code that performs any given task, enabling the programmer to modularize a program. All variables created in function definitions are local variables. They are known only to the function in which they are declared. So how to create and call a function? So in Python you can create a function by using a def keyword or def keyword. So let's look at an example of this. So to call a function, you need to type that this function is my underscore real function print. This is a function my function. Okay, here my function print. This is a function main dot my function at my fancy. Okay, so as you can see I intend to keep a body of the function, that's why there was a syntax error. So it is not advisable to use identical names of the argument passes to a function and the corresponding parameters of the function inside. So the def keyword only created and defines a definition keyword define a function to call the function, use the function name and following for the parenthesis. So what are the arguments in a Python function? So you can send information to a function by passing values which are known as arguments or parameters. They are mentioned after the function name inside a parenthesis. So you can add as many as arguments you would like by separating them with a comma. So let me give you an example. Definition my function efficiency name print Python name my function learn so this is the passing single parameter into a function. So if we want to pass a multiple parameter in a function, then definition of my function name 1 comma name 2 then name 1 comma name to my function learn and use another one like test. As you can see that the both output as Python learn test. So keep in mind that the function must be called with the correct number or arguments. So if your function has 2 arguments, it must be called with 2 arguments. So a common mistakes people make, like even me myself, fail to place a colon after a function's parameter list. For that reason, like this, for this reason, there shows the symptometer. As you can see, if I mistaken this, as you can see, it's a error. So there are a couple of types of arguments. So default arguments, function can be defined with the default arguments. So if the value for the arguments are not supplied when the function is called, the default argument will be used. So let me show you a coding example. So def my function country, as I am living in currently in Bangladesh, BD. Now print I am from country. My USA okay. Where did I mistake? I am from, okay, where? So if I give any space in here, it will show a nice quick space. So this is the function called this is the default argument in code. So the another one is arbitrary argument. So arbitrary arguments are used when you want the function to take an unlimited number of arguments, and when you add an star sign, it will receive the tuple of arguments. Like as an example, my function star arguments print arguments args, then my functions let me give you a random 2 4 6 18 8 1. So as you can see, the output came back is 2 4 6 18 8 and 1. So it received a tuple of arguments. And another one is keyword argument. So you can pass the arguments in a non-positional manner using keyword argument. So let's look at an example to how to understand this. So definition my function name age print name is age years old. For my function, so final my function age 20 name Akash. So as you can see, Akash is 20 years old as it showed. So it passed the argument in a non-positional manner using just the keyword argument. So let's talk about the return statement in Python function. So to return a value from a function, we use a return statement. It returns the result from a caller. So let's type a code definition sum a b return a plus b. So x is equal to sum 4, 7, then print x. Okay, so that as you can see, it printed the element. So a function always return a value. So if a user doesn't include a return statement, it returns none. So another important one is nested functions. So a nested function is a function that is defined inside another function. So it is also called a inner function in another way. So one of the main reasons to use nested function is to prevent the data or functionality from being accessed by other parts of the code. So let me give you an example. Colors. Yellow, red, black, green, purple. Yellow, black, green and purple. Fruits. Mango. Banana. Apple. So for X in colors, for Y in fruits, print will be just a simple X and Y. Okay, as you can see, they printed the yellow mango, then apple, yellow mango, yellow banana, yellow apple, then black mango, black banana, black apple, then green mango, green banana, green apple, and then purple mango, purple banana, purple apple, as you can see here. So it just return the statement in a nested function. So another, and I think the final one I can say is recursive function. So a recursive function is a function that repeats its behavior until the specific condition is met. So if I want to type a code like definition count number, if number is less than is equal to 0, then else will be print number count number dot one count 5. Okay, definition in count number, if number less than equal to 0, print. Okay, I mistake a one line, so I'll write it now. Stop. Else print number, print counter. I think this okay. Okay, another fault. If a পাশাপাশি. So else print number, count number. Okay, I write it long. Count number means okay. So as you can see, the recursive function repeats this behavior until the condition met. So that's the all basic of the Python function. So we'll talk about another thing in the next lecture.
Hello everyone, let's talk about Python and basic concepts about web application in Python. Python web development. Python is a beautiful language. It's easy to learn and fun, and its syntax, the rules, is clear and concise. Python is a popular choice for beginners, yes, still powerful enough to back some of the world's most popular products and applications from companies like NASA, Google, IBM, Cisco, Microsoft, Industrial Light, and Magic, among others. So, in this tutorial, I create a custom tracker, phone tracker using Python. Before that, you have to download or install phone numbers by giving command in the terminal pip install phone numbers, and now it shows successfully installed phone numbers. So now go back to the code. This is my project and its location in our C drive. So first import phone numbers. One area where Python shines is web development. Python offers many frameworks which to choose from, including Bottle.py, Slacks, Cherry.py, Pyramid, Django, and Web2Py. These frameworks have been used to power some of the world's most popular sites, such as Shopify, Mozilla, Reddit, The Washington Post, and Help. So here I add another file test.py, and in this section, in this file, I have to indicate number. So write the code number equal double quotation and which number you want to trace or track. So I need first your country code, then your phone number. So here I'm from Bangladesh and our country code number is +88. So +88, then this is my number. The tutorials in this section cover techniques used in the development of Python web applications and focus how to program real-world solutions to program problems that ordinary people actually want to solve. So in main.py, show a error. Sometimes PyCharm application shows some error without no reason. So one more thing, how does Python fit into web development? Number in test.py file I indicate my number, and now from test import from number, write this code. Main file main.py inside. Now from test import number. From phone number From phone numbers, import geocoder ch underscore nmbeer equal phone numbers check number equal phone numbers dot parse PARSE numbers ch close bracket next line print geocoder dot description underscore number ch number from phone number from phone numbers import carrier. So how does Python fit into web development? I replay this after complete this code. Service underscore number. Python can be used to build server-side web applications. While a web framework is not required to build web apps, it's rare that developers would not use existing open source libraries to speed up their progress in getting their application working. Python is not used in a web browser. The language executed in browsers such as Chrome, Firefox, and Internet Explorer is JavaScript. Projects such as PyJOS can compile from Python to JavaScript. However, most Python developers write their web applications using a combination of Python and JavaScript. Python is executed on the server side while JavaScript is downloaded to the client and run by the web server. So finally print carrier dot name underscore for underscore number en. So this is how you guys can make a custom tracker, phone call tracker. This is the code. So hope you guys liked it and thanks for watching. Hello everyone, let's talk about how to create a mobile app, web app for clearing your concept. Today's tutorial I will show you guys make a simple app, mobile app So first, go to our main.py. Inside our Python project, you guys can make your own project name and import kivy for mobile application app development. Import kivy, kivy, from kivy dot app, import app, and after this write from kivy dot app, import from kivy app, import app, and after this we have to import UIX, which is user experience, and grid layout, and import grid layout. From kivy again dot UIX dot label, import label. We need label, we need UIX for our project. Python is an extremely popular programming language, the third most popular in the world according to the TOB index. It is widely used in scientific and numeric computing, education, and web development, and you probably interact with this coded in Python every day. So after this, we need to import from kivy.uix text input, import text input. So we need some basic import: text input, label, grid layout, and app. So first we have to define a class. So here is our class is IT Corp. Class name is IT Corp, and inside the bracket it is grid layout. To being said, it is useful to consider Python for mobile apps development over other solutions such as Swift, Kotlin, or JavaScript. Although in the past it isn't too common to develop a Python mobile app, modern solutions make it much easier than before. Here's why what's good for Shopify and Instagram could be good for you. In that tutorial, I am show Python and help development decision, and it help your development decision. So after taking class, we have to define init underscore underscore. Look at this syntax carefully because Python is a case sensitive language. Def space underscore underscore init underscore underscore self, and inside class IT Corp grid layout, and close the line. Python is an open source general purpose programming language, meaning it can be used to build various types of programs for multiple platforms. It's easy to learn and understand, and new code can be created relatively quickly. It works well with big data and can be integrated with other programming languages. And created 30 years ago by Van Rossum, Python only grew in popularity and still grows at a fascinating pace. Thanks to its huge popularity, the language comes with dozens of reliable libraries and frameworks. It's no surprise that proper tools to build mobile apps are among them as well. A huge community already resolved and documented thousands of issues. So, after declare def, we have to use a keyword, super keyword, and inside super keyword I indicate IT Corp grid and itself. Again INIT underscore. Python also has libraries and frameworks that let you create one code base for various platforms like iOS, Android, and this is called cross-platform development. And in this tutorial, I just show you guys a simple mobile app which execute successfully. When it comes to Python mobile apps, cross-platform development is a big advantage. Traditionally, to create an app for both iOS and Android, the developers had to work simultaneously or two completely different app versions based on different programming languages. And today, Python frameworks such as Kiwi enable developers to easily transform one piece of code into versions working with iOS, Android, or any other platform without having to create separate apps one by one. So in self.add widget label test, the name of the label is test student name. Again self dot sname equal text input. Whenever user give text, and the value is imported, and the value is multiline equal false, close the bracket. So let's give some time about Kiwi. So what is Kiwi? Why you use Kiwi for Python mobile app development? Kiwi is a cross-platform Python framework created to assist in rapid app development. It supports various user interfaces including multi-touch screens and various platforms including iOS, Android and Windows. Kiwi has its own custom UI toolkit which will look consistent and work exactly the same between Android, iOS, Linux and Raspberry Pi, but it won't use any native famous features of any those platforms, and this can be a downside or an upside depending on what kind of app you are planning to develop. On the one hand, users tend to favor native look in the most apps, but UI design that stands out can be powerful design choice that takes users work in your app on various platforms seamlessly. And there is some Kiwi's most important features, and this is one code for all platforms, a robust graphics engine built over OpenGL ES2, published on MIT license. It's free to use for business. Custom user interface toolkit, one code base for all platforms, published on BSD license and free to use for business. Apps with native look and feel, huge community of invested developers. Not just one tool but a collection of projects, fast, simple and precise. Kiwi. So now make another class, IT Corp app. First one is for grid class and this is for app class. Dev, build, self, and it return IT Corp. Oh, one more thing, how you guys can install Kiwi. Installing Kiwi has many dependencies, so it's recommended that you install it into a Python virtual environment. You can use either Python's built-in Vend library or the virtual length package. If you have never used a Python virtual environment before, here's how you can create a Python virtual environment: shell, Python 3, Vend, my Kiwi project. And to use your virtual environment, you need to activate it. A widget is an on-screen control that the user will interact with. All graphical user interfaces toolkits come with a set of widgets. Some common widgets that you may have used include buttons, combo boxes and tabs. Kiwi has many widgets built into its framework. So guys, look here, successfully execute our program and the app successfully run and show the interfaces. So by this you guys can create your own mobile app. So this is for it. Hope you guys liked it and thanks for watching.